Hey, it's the Chief from the Dice Tower. Today we're going to talk about Heroes of Normandy from Iello. Yes, they did a war game. It's actually a tactical war game. Kind of has a little bit of a miniatures feel, and it's got a little bit of humor thrown in. It's got some little references to Kelly's Heroes, which is a great movie, actually filmed in 1970 in partnership with Yugoslavia in a little Croatian village. Crazy. All right, but you got oddball. You even got a little oddball thing in this game that I'll show you later. Tactical gaming. It is serious in that nature, and I love tactical wargaming. Let's go see. So I've got everything kind of spread out here. I actually just completed kind of covering all the areas, so I just threw it around. But I wanted you to see you can get 4 of these tiles together, and you kind of get a real nice, you know, these geomorphic boards. So, and there's just tons and tons of components that come with the game. Production values, yellow, phenomenal, of course, just top of the line. All right, I open up with some tanks and this cool rule book. I wanted to show great color, very nice pages. I had a little bit of trouble with these little things, which I'm going to show you in a little bit. I've got them further up on the map here. It's a way for you to, I don't know, kind of stencil in placing your troops. And we'll go into those. You can see them here as well. But this rule book's great. Reference sheet, which you will be using a lot in your early games, explains all the iconography that actually appears right on the board or right on the tanks, right on your units, so that there's very little rules referring once you're up and running with the game. So let's look at the board. You got boards that are double-sided, and one of the interesting factors is the boards are giving you information. So these are woods, and if you're in the woods, it's going to stop your movement when you come in. Vehicles can't enter, and you're going to get a +2 to your defense when you are inside the woods. So all the information you need is here. You don't need to know that, oh, woods give me a +2 or rubble gives me a XYZ. It's right on the board. So we're zoomed in on a couple German troops. You can see we got a recon group and a fire group. So you're going to see a unit designation, and let me explain some of their little icons here. So the arrow is always movement and how many squares they can move. Then you've got, let me start with this bigger 5 here, and you can see the arrows kind of pointed down. That's what the number that it takes to hit a unit. And when you're rolling to hit a unit, you're rolling a single die, you're adding any of your modifiers, and then you're just seeing if you equal or exceed. Now the modifiers you're adding, so forget about the 5 for a second. If this unit's shooting at a infantry group, notice the matching color, yellow and yellow. So if they're shooting at another infantry group, they're going to get a +1. If they're shooting at a light vehicle, half-track, Jeep, whatever, they don't get any bonus at all. And the X means that that's armor, and they cannot shoot at armor. They can't do anything against it. And there's a couple other little things on here. Since they're recon, whatever the zone is that you're setting up on the map, they can actually be 3 more in if you so choose. And then you've got the fact that they can sit in ambush, which you would have this flipped over. I won't go into that right now. And then this little death head means that if they take a hit, if another unit successfully hits them, normally you'll flip a tile over, but in this case, this recon unit is dead. They'll be gone. So to show you kind of the difference with this fire group, so you can see a 3, they're not going to move quite as efficiently as this 4. They've got a 4 to hit. They get a +2, +1. They still can't attack tanks. They've got something that this recon unit didn't have, which is an assault. An assault, that little sword, basically means they can move into another zone where the enemy are, and they'll engage in close combat. And there's a whole roll-off that you'll do in close combat and compare and add in some bonuses, and then you're either going to push them out or flat out destroy them. If this unit did take a hit, you can see, much like a miniatures game, instead of the 5 troops, now they've only got 3. They have a little bit less bonus to hit. However, they've increased their defense a little bit, as if they've gone down. So they've gone from a 4, and if I could flip this in any way that makes sense, they've gone to a 5. Now if they get hit again, they will be knocked out. So you can kind of see the information's all on the tile. The tile very much has a feel of a miniatures. group, but you're doing it with just a simple tile. Here is an MG42. Now it's set up. When they're moving, they've got to move without their bipod tripod set up. But you can see they're moving 3. This is telling you that, hey, if you flip it, it means they've got the little bipod up. They'll be killed if they get hit. They got a 5, but look at the bonuses that go once they get it set up. +4, that MG42 just starts ripping, doing a +2 also against vehicle. Love this, love it. Show you 2 other cool little things. You got a little motorcycle. He's going the wrong way. He's driving right into the woods. All right, then you got a Panzerschreck. Love the Panzerschreck. Just to give you a view, sorry, upside down. So again, you can see, not doing much against the infantry, +4 against a medium or light vehicle, and +4 against armor. I'm going to show you a couple quick Americans. We're not going to talk about them too much because I'm chewing up a lot of time, but I'll just put them on and kind of show you, and you can get a feel for the recon team and a mortar team. The MG30, and I got to show you the flip so you can see what's going on with their bonuses. Of course, you're going to have a bazooka, and you're just going to have an American fire team that's going to have a BAR and a nice support team. All right, moving into some vehicles. First, you got your Mark IVs. You got a Panzer II, I believe. You've got the Puma, nice half-track, and a gun. Now I'm going to bring, well, let me zoom in. So in the game, you're always looking at what it's going to take to hit or take out a unit. So with vehicles, of course, much different from the infantry, but where you attack from matters. The armor is much stronger on a tank's front. So you're going to be rolling a single die and trying to get a 9. Now it's a 6-sided die, so it tells you you're going to need some modifiers to get you there, or better yet, slide around and attack from the side, or even better, attack from the rear of the tank, and you only need a 6. Now you get some modifiers on a bazooka or another tank, and you've got a very good chance of taking that vehicle out. Here is a lot of the iconography that I was talking about. So here you've got, if they're shooting their main gun, and here this arrow is how many hexes, or how many squares in this case, that you can move. You've got the effect of the cannon, the actual high-powered gun, is going to give a +3 on infantry, +5 on light vehicles like half-tracks and jeeps and such, and a +4 on tanks. So the Puma, you can see, is actually a light vehicle. These have a grayishness. You'll see in the infantry have a yellowish around their 2 hit number, but you've got red here as well as red with this half-track. And then you can see when I bring on this gun, it's considered an infantry. It's got a little yellow around it, 6. Now, the interesting thing is everything, unless it's indicated, can shoot in 360 degrees. Now, the gun actually has a fixed, more like a 45-degree angle that it is forced to shoot on. In order to change that angle that it can shoot, you got to move it just like a gun in real life. All right, we're looking at some American vehicles, the Shermans. Very similar deal. This is the heavy gun. This is the machine guns. You can see their facing is all here in terms of where it's easier to hit, their movement. So this is the heavy gun and what they can do, and this is the machine gun. Now you can see there's a slight color difference here, and this one's called Oddball. This one is right out of Kelly's Heroes, and it's got a positive waves man special thing that it can do. So you've got some special vehicles on top of like your normal vehicles. Then you got a Stuart, you got a half-track, and you got a little Greyhound, and you got a little Willys Jeep, and I can't move it over any further. So you can kind of get a feel for these light vehicles compared to these armored vehicles. And they're just cool to look at, and yes, when they get hit, they burn, they stay on the map, and they block line of sight. Half-tracks and other vehicles can also move troops. Very cool. Basically, when you're setting up, you can pick your units and you just got to match their color insignia on the side. I'll give you an example. Now I've got this guy here, and you can see his markings here. This is an officer, but they will match the markings here. Now I could put a fire team in here or whatever, and that's how I would end up getting these other bigger chits that I just showed you. But you've got to put it somewhere where it fits. So over here, it could go on either side. It could go here, or it could have had this other little thing, which I'll show you, is like this Stuart. So it only has to fit one side in this case. And I could have put in a Sherman if I had the money. Now this is a point system, so you're going to end up with these units, and then you can add in or supplement some other units to come in. But if you've only got a limited number of points, you're going to have to figure out, what do I want to do? What am I working with? You can get, I'm going to throw a bunch of these. You could add in hand grenades. A veteran gets to do a re-roll, so they're experienced. So if you can really trick out kind of your units that are going. Here you've got rifle grenades. Here you're going to add a Willis, that also, a little Jeep that also has a 50 cal. Here's your Greyhound that could fit into one of those slots. Here's a mortar team. How you're going to get a certain amount of points, build your army however you want, and these little tiles help you build it in a way that doesn't, I don't know, kind of break the rules. It keeps you in line, so to speak, and kind of keeps things a little bit in parity. Each player has deck or cards they're going to be getting. These cards are going to be adding in some fog of war and giving a lot of little player flavor that's coming in. And they've got just some great art on them. So you're going to be seeing all this kind of stuff going on here. So they're going to allow you to do certain things that can surprise your opponent or make him wonder, what does he really have? Now in certain scenarios, certain cards are moved out, so they're able to customize even further. Nice thing is too, when you have units on the board and you go to the phases where you're going to give out your orders, you actually are giving your orders out blind. So they don't know who's going to be moving first, and you never generally have enough orders, unless you've had casualties, to give every one of your guys an order. So you might have some blank ones just bluffing that, hey, you know, he thinks I'm going to be doing something with this unit, but I'm not. So your opponent's going to have the same thing, and then you'll just say, here's my first guy. Now, it doesn't mean that your other units can't move. They can, but they'll only be able to move. They won't be able to shoot. So these orders are key for, you can still use movement, but if you don't have these orders on them, they're not going to be firing. This game is very true to life in the mode of what tactical combat is. Tactical combat is suppressing the enemy and then having another unit maneuver on it and kill it. I was in the Army. This game uses suppression. You can elect to try to suppress a unit. You've got a much better chance of success in that than you do in wiping a unit out with gunfire. So a lot of what you're doing is putting suppression on a particular unit, so it's not doing a good job shooting back at you, and then you're trying to maneuver in on it and then assault it or just take it out completely. And that's what this game captures beautifully. I also love the custom dice. Those are 6s. Even though they look like 1s, they're not. Boom. All right, so it's very tight, very confined. All that information being right there on the counters or on the board. You know, I did have to reference that little back sheet often until I kind of got used to, oh, that's what this is, or that's what this is. But it's all very accessible. Matter of fact, we have a little miniature kind of 12-hour gaming, I can't call it a con, it's like a gaming day that we do here. And there's been a youngster that has showed up ever since he was 8, and he took a liking to war games, and I brought this as a little surprise for him. And he's walking around and he couldn't find any war games, and he came up to me because I was teaching a lot of different family games, and he says, there are no war games here. And I went, bam, and I pulled it out, and he was like, ah. And so first of all, for those war gamers, this is helping to keep war games alive. Now, I love the tactical nature of war games, even the larger theaters. But it's so intuitive. I was able to show them, you know, hey, this is the sign for the infantry. This is their base defense. Here's their plus modifiers. If they get hit, it's simply roll 1 die, figure it out, add in your modifiers, subtract your modifiers from woods. And if they're hit, flip the counter, they're removed. I showed him how to work a vehicle, a tank, because, you know, every 10-year-old wants tanks in. He's 10 now, and he's playing his brother. And when I came back, they'd played 3 games, and now they were adding in half-tracks, Jeeps. They didn't quite know how to work the AT gun, but they had it on the board. So very, very accessible, fun war game. And even this young fellow's mom came by, said, hey, let me see the box. You got it? And she said, I just ordered. So, I mean, they were hooked. He was playing his brother, and his older brother had horrible die rolls. He couldn't hit anything. All right, so Henry, way to go. Heroes of Normandy. On a side note, I don't have it, but they've even got this like spin-off game that deals with like Nazis, Cthulhu. I think it's Shadows of Normandy. I don't know. I don't have that. So, but I mean, so that's even kind of being able to, you can get Commonwealth soldiers and all this other stuff, but it's even taken some dips and some dives. So looks like the system might go some places that nobody expected. Chief, Dice Tower, see you guys.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.